Thanks, Kaj.
All right, it's setting up for YouTube Live, so you have a few seconds.
Let me just send it to my email, so if you start sharing again, I can still have it.
Okay. All right, and we are live, I think. Okay, so it's now live. All right, so let me jump back over here. Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Today is February 18th, and you are at Psychology Students Association's club meeting at the UM Mona campus. But of course, we're doing this virtually, all right? And we want to just give a shout out to, let me see where she's at. You know, I'm tempted to do this, you know. I want to give a shout out to Tweety Mills, who is joining us for the first time. I am having a feedback, so I need to stop my... Okay, I have muted my mic on the other screen so that it does, I don't confuse myself. So we have a very full agenda for you today. We have two guest speakers. We have Orlando Brown and we have Marlon Simpson coming to speak to us, and we are just starting our graduate series for persons who are in third year, and also for persons who want to know what the next steps are and want to plan ahead, even though they're in first or second year. So welcome again, everyone. And I am just going to turn you right over to Marisha, our student rep. Go ahead, Marisha.
Okay. Hi, everybody. You know my modus operandi. I'm going to go through the participants. I'm going to pick about 3 to 5 of you today because we are jam-packed for our meeting and we want to maximize on the time. So our icebreakers are going to be a little bit short, but I doubt it's going to cut in on the fun. So I am going to choose, let me pick a victim. Denise. Oh, hi, Denise. Denise, are you hearing us?
Hi, I just knew you were going to call me.
My usual victims, yes. All right, Denise, yours is, so we're playing who/what am I. I'm going to read a short description and you're going to tell me who it is or what it is, okay?
Okay, I'll do my best.
Okay. I'm one of the most successful actors on the planet. My net worth is almost 600 million and I star in Mission Impossible. Who am I?
Can I pass? Because I don't know. I never seen Mission Impossible.
Really?
Yes, I haven't.
All right. His name rhymes with twos.
Can you repeat that?
His name rhymes with twos.
Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Can I have Jamila? Oh, she's coming in. Jamila, can you hear?
Hi, Marisha. I'm hearing it.
All right. Who was that just speaking a while ago?
That's a great Javario.
Oh, yes, I see Mike up. I can't see my questions anymore because Kajamba sharing screen. Okay, so I can pull this one out of my head, I think. My name is Ang. I'm young. I'm smart. I came from a a water ball to save the world. What am I? My name is Ang. I'm young and smart. I come from a water bowl to save the world. What am I?
Is this for anyone?
That was for Javalrio.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you repeat? I'm just
Ah! Okay. Javalerio, you with us?
yeah, I'm with you guys now.
All right. My name is Ang. I am young and smart. I came from a water bowl to save the world. I think it's a water bowl. What am I? What was Ang in the cartoon?
My name is Ang, and I came from a water what?
A water bowl. Like remember when they first found him and he was in like this little bubble thingy. I thought it was water. No, I think it's air. Either way, you know there are two things that I just said that gives you a hint. What is it? And his name is Ang.
Wasn't it a iceberg or something you was trapped in?
Give me the name of the cartoon.
Oh, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Thank you. And Kajamba, yours is the final one.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't. Okay, I think I remember this one. I am a pageant queen and I'm well versed. The name of my pageant is who? It rhymes with well versed. I am a pageant queen and I am well versed. The name of my pageant is.
It rhymes with what?
It rhymes with well versed.
Universe? What?
Yes, Miss Universe.
Universe? Oh, okay.
So that's it for the
I could answer
icebreakers.
everything but that one. But okay.
Okay, Kajambo, sorry, Marisha, either you or Jamila can do a few more until our
A few
first
more?
guest joins. Yes.
Okay.
I'll let you know when to stop the fun.
Okay. Let me just pull it up on my phone because the screen sharing knocked it off a little bit. La, 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 la. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, so save. Oh no, it's not opening up.
All right, maybe Jamila can jump in with two.
Hopefully, I think so.
Hi guys.
Oh, they're up. Sorry.
All right. No worries. All right, go
All right.
Marisha.
I'm going to choose. Well, Jamila, you start talk, so I will ask you.
But I don't know the answer, Marisha. Why you think I know the answer to your question?
You're going to know the answer to this one. This
Right.
very specific one.
All right,
I am a bug, I am a germ, I am a vile thing indeed. I've been around the world while you stay inside and weep. What am I? It's happening right now.
Oh, geez, you have to know that one.
What?
I'll read it again. I am a bug, I am a germ, I am a vile thing indeed. I've been around the world while you stay inside and weep. What am I?
Is it the pandemic that we're in
Yes,
now?
it's COVID-19.
Oh, okay.
All right. Chantel Harris? Chantel, that's it? I hope I said it right. Miss Harris, are you here? No, it don't sound right. Oh, it's Shanae. Chantel, yes, it's Chantel. All right. I'm going to move on to Tweety Mills. Tweety, are you still with us? I asked you to unmute. I just clicked the button. So we'll see if she can come on.
Oh, yes, I'm on.
Hi. I'm going to pick on you now.
Okay.
All right.
Give me a second. What did I do?
This one should be somewhat easy. All right. I am bright and expensive and everyone uses me. I wear cases and loved sorry, let me go again. I am bright and expensive and everyone uses me. I wear cases and loved ones' faces are shown through me. I can't stand water and will probably die. And if you lose me, you'll probably cry. What am I?
You know, this one lightest minute.
Chances are you're using one of them right now.
What a phone a device.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Aldi, if you want to try one? Aldi? Where Aldi gone? She leave me? Oh. All right. Makeda Watson, are you here? Makeda. No, I'm not getting any answer. All right. Kajay Forbes. Kajay? No. All right. What about Robin Brown? Hi, Robin.
I knew that was coming, you know, Mark.
Yeah.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, she
What's up?
All right. So yours is I'm a place that cares for the ill, but also a place that kills you with the bill. What am I?
The hospital.
There we go. Wow. Okay.
Oh,
I like how
boy.
resigned you sounded. Thanks, Robin.
No problem.
I already called Anja Valerie, don't it? I have what?
Yes,
3
you did.
Okay, I know I'll call him again still. Savita. Savita, are you here? Savita. No, not getting a reply, no. But she there, but it's fine.
How about Ashley? Has Ashley participated as yet?
Ashley, we're calling out Ashley. All right. Ashley. Ashley, it's your time to shine.
I'm here.
All right, Ashley. Yours is I've had colonies and countries under my thumb. I've had riches, but reparations I will give to none. I'll read it again. I've had colonies and countries under my thumb. I've had riches, but reparations I will give to none. Who am I? I'll give you a hint. She's still our head of state.
The Queen.
Yes, Queen Elizabeth II. And finally, but this depends on somebody who's watched TV. So let's hope that they did. Jamal. Hi, Jamal. Hi, Jamal.
What? I don't understand. I feel like I get loaded up as I read. I never signed up for this, you know. I did not sign up for this.
You want to know some hot jump when I admitted you into the meeting? So yeah, I was waiting for this. Hi, Jamal.
Hello.
So yours is I am a show about politics and I am in Westeros. I have kings and I have queens, great houses and beasts. What am I?
Wait, what? Wait, hold on. I'm here. Westeros on the first thing. All right.
Yes.
So
let
don't
me
murder
read
me.
again.
Listen,
Let me
if
read
get this
again.
wrong, wait, no. My outfit. If me get it wrong, don't murder me. Right?
I
We hear
won't.
Westeros. The first thing come to my mind, Game of Thrones.
It is Game of Thrones. Thank
so
you.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming to the meeting today. The meeting is adjourned. It was a great meeting, guys. Love that. Love the energy. I'll collect my weekend for 2 in the mail. You can send it. I'll give you my details. Great. Love that.
I'm dead. Thanks, Jamal. All right. So I throw it over to Kajamba.
Okay, so introducing our first guest for today. Orlando Brown has a degree in psychology and a minor in education. He is currently in his final year of his master's in educational psychology. He's a guidance counselor at the Hope Valley Experimental School. He's also a tutor at the University of the West Indies, where he tutors psychology courses. He enjoys doing outreach and working with youths. A lot of you may know him already. For some of us, it might be a first introduction to him. Please give him a warm, warm welcome, guys, as he takes some time to share his experiences with us today. I'm sure it's going to be very useful, so pay attention.
Thank you so much, Kajamba. I don't know how fun or useful it will be. Everybody knows I'm a very boring and dull and uneventful person.
Lies.
True, lie.
Ever.
So I will make it as painless and, somewhat, interesting as possible. So do bear with me while we go through this cycle of my boredom. So
Right.
as you know, I'm a little bit strapped for time, so I'm going to be as effective as possible by just telling you a story. I like telling stories because stories can help you to just get the narrative going and the whole theme and everything. So for those who know me, I will make this as painless as possible. So I'm Orlando Brown, currently wrapping up my final semester for my master's in educational psychology. How fun, persons may ask. I didn't know you offered educational psychology. Where do I do it? How do I go about doing it? So I always said that it's not in the soci section. It's over by education, over humanities. And it's fairly accessible to psychology students. You just have to do prerequisite courses. So first, let me tell you about what is educational psychology. So it's a specialized field in which we are able to apply psychological components, but also educational components into assessments, understanding learning difficulties, learning disabilities, social and emotional problems and issues that exist within the classroom and in the learning environment. So for those who are wondering, educational psychology does really speak to the education background in space of the psychology of it. And it's not limited just to learning and the teaching, but also to the behavioral and the affective domain and cognitive domain that exists for students. So how did I get into this program? So let me go back as early as undergraduate, which donkey years ago, in which I remember having a conversation with Dr. McFarlane, who most of you should know, health psychology, social psychology. And I was like, I've been doing my summer jobs at the school. I think I want to do something in education. Would you make and maybe do my master somewhere in the educational line and stuff? I'm considering doing my minor in education. And she was like, "Oh, really? Okay. You sure about that, Orlando? You sure about that? You do want to go do applied or clinical?" And I said, "Yeah, I think education is my thing. I like teaching. I like the whole basis of it." So she said, "All right, so you can try it." But then she told me about a certain person, Dr. Cole, that she did psychology. Then she went over to education and did her master's in educational psychology, then PhD. So I was like, all right, this sounds like something that's doable. So I went over to education, started my journey, did my prerequisite courses, which was educational psychology courses, motivation and the teacher, classroom concerns. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a minor in education because I got pulled in there by Dr. Anderson, who was the then coordinator for the program. It started as a journey, and eventually I finished up my degree with a minor in education. Didn't start the world in teaching or so saying. I went into the bank, Royal Scotia Bank, and then I said, you know what, something happened, and then I started teaching at Arden, then moved to Campion, and I started to just say, all right, this is something I definitely see myself into, so why not go back and do my master's? So I did apply to the regular process of UWI postgrad, where the registration is basically the same like in undergrad. We do have to do your referees and your letters and those type of things. But you don't have to limit your option to UWI, but as it relates to cost, it is cheap. So if you're thinking about a really inexpensive master's, I would say go for it. But in continuing, in terms of the requirement, if you're a teacher or you are a guidance counselor, and you have the grades, it's a good way of foot in. But if you're coming from psychology over soci, then how do you get in? Then you need to do some prerequisite courses with your degree, which I would have mentioned, which is classroom, well, there's change now. Back in my time, it would have been classroom concern and motivation and teacher, but it's now, let me go and look at my notes. So it's motivation on the teachers and dealing with conflict and aggression in the classroom. Those two prerequisites to get you access to the course, to the major itself. As it relates to looking at the overview of it, as I said, there are other places that you can look at: NYU, NCU, financial aid. You can get the graduate scholarship, but those are for full-time students at UA. And if you have a strong research skill and you're good at research assistance, you can still apply for a research assistant post to help cover the cost. So some of you may say, what is the cost like? But then the idea is not to say the cost right now, because I want you to say, is this something that I want to do? And then if it is, then go and look about the cost, because it's fairly cheap. So where am I at? Because I have a whole list of notes where I'm following from, so that way I don't get jumbled up in my thoughts and the story don't get boring and like, oh God, can you shut up? So in continuing, let's look at how the program itself is set up. So the program allows you to develop a lot of skill sets in terms of students and teacher development. You're able to construct programs, strategies to aid in the learning and teaching. The assessments aspect of the program helps you to utilize the WASI and the WIS. And I've also used the RAT because within my first year, I would have been trained how to do assessments in the intelligence tests and those type of tests in terms of working with students and children at various ages to see what are their learning faculties, what are their weaknesses, their strengths in the different subject areas, and also looking at writing reports for them. So in continuing, I like to always say that for me personally, the benefits of this course, this program itself, is that people may say, all right, after your master's, what do you do with this? Especially having a psychology degree, then a master's in educational psychology. You can lecture if you want. If you feel as though this is your passion, you can go and lecture at a teacher's college for any educational psychology course or basic psychology course. You can work as a researcher. You can work in the ministry in terms of developing programs and assessments. You can also work at a children's home to help develop programs and program development and assessment. HR aspect still is offered within your master's because you're still able to interact on the psychology basis of your component with others. And I always say this, the key thing to remember in getting a job is that you have to market yourself and you have to sell yourself. And yes, we have to sell ourselves. It might sound cheap, but nothing in life is free. So you have to sell yourself to get something in life. It's just the way it exists. Maybe people saying that, no man, no person is sick, go by sell yourself. No go so. But in reality, we are always putting ourselves out there to make it work. In terms of the course setup for it, we have a different courses that are geared towards the learning domains, teaching strategy, assessments, the temperaments of students, and you find that a lot of, for those who would have done, what's that course? Denise helped me the course with Mr. Dr. Lips, psychometrics.
Psychometrics.
Yes, psychometrics. You'll find that that's also a good strong component to bring in, because assessment is something that educational psychologists do in terms of understanding where students are at, their limitations, and whether or not they're having any learning difficulties or a disability that may exist. So you'll find that automatically some persons will say that in just looking at how a child writes, you can start to tell whether there are signs of dyslexia, how they read from the board or how they write and they put the letters. You can also look at the behavioral issues that exist. What are the factors that influence these behavior? Is it pre-exposed? What is the temperament of these students? What is also the temperament of the teacher? Because that is also efficient in understanding whether or not the teaching and learning will coexist or be effective. So in terms of what I always say to remember when you're in the graduate program, balance. I tell people this, and I make no apologies. You can still get your A's, and I still get my A's, and I do 2 jobs, and I'm doing a master's. Do not get flustered, meaning that at times it may seem a little bit overbearing or a little bit too much because you really have to read. We don't get PowerPoints. I'm sorry, it doesn't really exist in the master's program. You can count, but we don't get PowerPoints. You get articles to read and make notes of, and you have a lot of chapters and books to finish. Take time for yourself. I know my poison is a little wine now and then, but take some time to yourself. Start early so that you can be prepared and always be conscious of what you have to do and what needs to be done in a timely fashion. Keep reading, and you know it sounds so cliche, but you are actually reading for your degree, and this is so. You are always going to be reading for your degree. And I want to also say that this is something to take home, is that when choosing a program, a postgrad program, think about what is it you're passionate about. What is it you want to specialize in? What is it you feel as though you can add meaning to? Because as psychologists, we're going to be constantly researching, constantly trying to improve not just ourselves, but others. And for that, I say, don't rush into it. I waited a couple of years before I went and did my master's. I said, I'm going to get some experience to see whether or not the classroom is for me and what I want to do with myself. And for that, I say, think of what think about what you feel you would be also effective, passionate about, so you don't get burned out. So when you start doing that master's program, you're like, oh, Jesus, I saw me have to go do so much assessments in a clinical and learn about all these scientific words, because I would say I'm a dunce when it comes on to science. So I know I was not going to find myself in no clinical program. Nope. And for applied, you know, it exists that you will find that you're more in that social domain, and then you can do your specialization for the various thing, whether or not it's sports, culture, organizational, you know, the list goes on, health. So think about what you feel you can connect with. Don't limit yourself just to Jamaica. There's so much options overseas. I'm not saying you must run away and so, but you know, live your best life. Don't limit yourself. Look out for your options and allow yourself to plan. Don't rush into your master's without a plan. If you rush into a master's without a plan, it will show. Because the first semester may feel, oh, I can do this. I'm on top of the world and I'm doing this. And then when you start to realize that it's really not really in sync with your job in terms of like the timing is off, the expectation, start to feel like a bit overwhelmed. Because there's no plan and you have to think about the money to pay this semester. When you start trickle out the money out of your account and you say, but hold on, this kind of really has set me back now, you know, and the program is part-time, so it's 2 years. So it's not one of those programs that is 1 year when it's full-time. It's a part-time program, and it allows you to balance life in a sense with work, because most teachers work. So the aim is to ensure that there's a balance to allow you to do your work and get your master's. I think that basically ends the story, and I hope I didn't bore you to death. And I don't know if anybody has any questions. Feel free to ask. As you know, I'm such a nice person, so you know, I'll answer.
Guys, please don't be shy. Ask all your questions.
Exactly.
Ask all your questions. Remember, we're
like
on YouTube, so you can go and rewatch.
Yes.
Or rather listen, because Orlando did not come on camera. But
I'm not dressed appropriate to come on camera. I'm in several meetings. I just left a staff development and I'm still in a ministry meeting. And then I have another class and I teach in the night. So no, I have to dress comfortable. No.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, so my question is like, persons are saying that to get a job in psychology, you need to have your master's or your doctorate first. What is your take on that?
That is a lie. because with your masters, you can go into your private practices in terms of just doing what you call, what's the word I want to use? It's where you basically, somebody help me, I'm old, where you work privately, but you work as a advisor. There's a word for it.
You mean an associate where
No,
you're
not a,
supervised?
no,
Consultant.
yes, a consultant.
Okay.
That's the word I'm looking for. Thank you, Denise. Where you work as a
Okay.
consultant. There's so many work within the ministry, organizational, depending on your specialization. And if all else fails, go and do some teaching. But there's always jobs that exist with your degree, with your master's, with your PhD. It depends on what you want to do. And you have to have a vision for yourself. If there's not a job market out there for yourself, create one. You have to create one. So if you're not creating one, then you need to create one. Think about it. So if, for example, you're in cultural psychology, you want to do your master's in cultural psychology, then what is current within the culture? Isn't music something that's current? So find the market in there, meet up with a couple of the musicians, do up a little nice little talk show. You can be creative. And it's for us to understand that you alone can limit yourself. So don't tell yourself that there's not a market and there's no job out there. There's always jobs out there. You have to find them, you have to make them, or you have to create them in your imagination. So you can be a little bit mad at time, but make it happen.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome. Good afternoon.
So I actually am really interested in educational psych. I actually applied for it.
Ooh.
Yes, I did. So, but I don't know if I have specific questions. So I'm just going to take your email and I'll just ask the questions when they come.
Sure. And as I said, once you apply, even if you don't have all the requirements, they'll ask you to do the 2 prerequisite course or even 1 course within your semester that you started so that you can have the requirements. So you'll be fine. And we usually take psychology students from the over psychology to education because you have a strong background in psychology and we want persons with strong background in psychology. And
okay, so will it be 1 course or 2?
It depends on the various course I do. So if you do psychometrics, that's a plus. If you did health, which health is definite, and other social psychology courses, you may just need to do 1, but it depends on the course that you've done and your temperament to see whether or not you're fit for that capacity to only just require to do 1. Because they're still going to need an educational background in a retrospect.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So my question is, they say you have 2 jobs, right?
Yes.
That's great. That's lovely.
It's not, but sure, I love sarcasm.
How did you how do you go about making yourself that marketable to actually hold 2 jobs?
Oh wow. I keep telling my students this every time. Aldi can attest to this. I keep saying I want to drop tutoring because it's stressful. But for me, it's called balance. So I'll teach in the night sometime or in the evening as it relates to my UE students, but my full-time job as a guidance counselor means that I'm up from about 5, go right back to 4 o'clock within the work clock and just balance out, make the time. And luckily it's online for tutoring, but before that I was going in face-to-face, so it's usually been the night, 7 to 9 and those time. So it means that I get 6 hours of sleep or 5 hours of sleep a day, but for me, it's about balance. There's nothing named can't or cannot. It's just what are you willing to sacrifice? And you as an individual, what is your tolerance level? Because for me, I can survive, even though I'm old, I can survive the 5-6 hours and then be grumpy about it. Oh my God, I want to sleep. But yes, but the reality is we have to keep moving because today is a perfect example. Meeting from 11 to 1:30 I had earlier. Staff development, which I'm a part of the planning process for. I have a ministry meeting that I just jumped out of, which is from 1 to 4 p.m. I have a class at 4 to 7. Then I teach at 7 to 9. Where does Orlando find time for yourself? You just realize that you have to do what you have to do and keep it moving. But I can tell you, when I go in an interview, my personality above all shines. So I tell myself that I want this job. And I remember the last 2 jobs that I went to an interview for, I got both offers. And I had to then decide which one do I want to take. Why? Because when I go there, I make myself I make myself marketable. And some people might say, but we're worried about your commitment. And so you have to make them feel comfortable and warm. And this is where psychology skill comes into place. Are you interacting? What is your interpersonal communication like? So allow yourself to not be limited to say that it's just bare theory we learn at psychology. No, make it practical from the theories that you've learned. And that's a reality that exists. I hope I answered your question and I didn't stray.
Right. Yeah, you did. But tell me, you did internships, right? What were those like?
I didn't do internship. I went into jobs. I first worked for Scotia, then I went into teaching, then guidance and counseling. I didn't do any internship. So no, that don't exist to me. And I've been doing tutoring for 3 years. So no, no internship. That's a fallacy.
All right. You and I can talk some more. Here. I need that. Yeah, man.
Orlando, there's a question from Denise.
Is there a limit to the number of persons?
Right.
Yes. So it's really 15 persons each year. But last year we had what we call a lucky break because of COVID, and it was no online platform. There was the first time in forever, there was 27 persons admitted last year. That's the highest. We don't think it will be like that, but regularly it's 15 persons per year. So it's not a large program. It's a very small intimate program, and Dr. Cole works very close with each of her students because she wants us to get that distinction. Hence why I'm struggling to survive with these A's, you know? So you don't want to let down anybody in life. So I hope that answers the question. Is there any other question? Any other question? Yes, 15. When my batch, it was 15, yes. And last year it was 27. Yes, Dr. Cole is lovely. She keeps telling me about the students I sent over to her that they're so great. So thank you for making me feel proud. Awesome. Any other question? You know, I love chat, so I could run on forever. Contact. Okay. I'll put in the chat. Do you need to have any research experience? Well, with psychology, you actually would be deemed research, have the research experience, because from year 1 to year 600 years, you're doing research. So you will come with a research background. But what would be different is that you would learn qualitative research, which is going to be different from most of you all, and also the mixed methods that you'll learn about when you come over to this field. So it's a different dynamics, but it's very, very, very fun, I would say. It's doable. The next question, somebody said, what is your teaching job like? Oh gosh, I started off in the secondary level, actually. And I always had fun because I'm a sarcastic person who can do my thing, and I don't let being new to something diminish you from being good at it. So you have to be good at something regardless of no experience. You go in like say you're the real OG and you get it done. So now I'm at the primary level, which, oh God, the level of need that children need, I cringe sometimes. And I'm not the best emotional person, and I don't think I have a lot of soft skills. So when I smile, it's not really a nice thing, but yeah, you learn to make it work. So for me as a guidance counselor, the job it's a lot. You teach, you counsel, you do programs, oh God. So you just have to make it work. But for me, I am always passionate about working with youths and seeing their development. So it's something that I'll definitely stay in for now and make it work. Hi, Samantha. So yes, Dave said you have to love kids to be in it. But you don't want to teach? Yes, the lesson plans are a real stressful thing. Every week you have to do lesson plans for the various grades. So good luck with that. And it's a requirement for your appraisal. So for me personally, within my years of teaching, I've worked at the secondary, primary, and tertiary level in the education system. As of a program you have done, I've done several. So even last year, my interpersonal class, I would have told you about the goodie bag that I did, which was a food package. That's seen as a program where you're giving back to your students and the parents. I've done mentorship session, reading sessions. What else? There's so many different programs. We do sessions online right now, like carriers, getting persons to come in and talk to the students. So those are little program and implementation. Got teaching in a given, how does one go about teaching a given site field? Explain that for me, please, JC. I don't think I understand. I'm kind of dense.
I'm sorry, what?
You said something about so before I answer, you said, so any psychology? No, I did my minor in education, so I'm specialized in teaching history education. So I started teaching the C-Sec and CAPE level at Arden. Based on my specialization, I could teach.
So all right. So with that minor, so you can teach your specific specialization, or is it only
you
just
can
for
teach,
help?
but the pay not going nice without a diploma. So I'd recommend that if you're going to go in the teaching world, you have to do a diploma in teaching. It's 1 year after your degree, and it gives you a real specialization, and it gives you the right amount of pay.
Is it worth it?
No, but look at this way why I stay. I love to travel. So when summer comes around, I can gently or gratefully just go on a plane and go. So yes, it's worth it if you say you like your weekends off and you like the time of the different holidays without feeling burned out. So your summer is your time to recuperate and exhale. So I would say if you're not looking to work every day of your life, can I just do the guidance part? No, you have to teach. Have to teach as a guidance counselor. So yeah. So it depends. So yeah, and I think that's I answered that question, Mr. Swavey.
Right. Yes, man. Look out for some messages from me.
Okay, sure. Anyone else? Okay, so I guess this was great. Awesome. Yay.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Orlando Brown. Always so fluent and, able to, even though he tells you all the time that he is boring, he is not boring. I need him to listen to himself. He always, he has the ability to bring the material to life. And we really appreciate you just speaking about your journey in educational psychology and just sharing from your heart as per usual. Thank you so much for joining us. And guys, if you have not done any of his courses, please try and sign up before he decides to quit, because he really is an excellent tutor. All right.
Yeah,
so thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And just to add it, the reason I couldn't get to do a PowerPoint, because I actually have a document that I put together, right? But I was like, PowerPoint seems so okay reading from a screen, and I want to present where it's more open and honest, and it's based on experience. So yes, I was definitely considering doing a PowerPoint, but I said to myself, you know what? Have your information on a paper, and you just go through and tell it as a story. So take care of yourself. I'm going to run back to a meeting, and thank you for the invitation, and I wish you all the best. And for my psych students who I have in groups and interpersonal, see you on your various points of time. Take care.
Okay, thank you again. All right. Wasn't that interesting, guys? Wow.
It was very, and he's
All
so
right.
animated. I loved it.
Yeah, so our next guest is here, Marisha. So we just love you to invite him to come on right now.
Okay, so I will be introducing Mr. Marlon Simpson. He is a licensed associate clinical psychologist pursuing doctoral studies in neuropsychology. He works with the Revamp Center at the St. Joseph's Hospital, that's on the weekend, where he performs neuropsychological assessments and behavioral modification for patients who have had traumatic brain injury. He holds a diploma in ministerial studies and psychology, a bachelor of arts degree in theology, and a master of science degree in clinical psychology. He served as a minister of religion for a total of 8 years, spanning 15 congregations. Mr. Simpson has worked with the Jamaica Constabulary Force as a volunteer chaplain to 3 police stations. He's been a part-time lecturer at the Police College and Area 3, that's Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth. Currently, he's a clinical psychologist at the Educational Assessment and Intervention Center, Church Teachers College, Mandeville, and has served as the human resource manager for the water company based in Portland prior to coming to Church Teachers College. We make him welcome.
All right, good afternoon, everybody.
Good
Thank
afternoon.
you for inviting me and for that introduction.
Good
All right, so I'm very sorry that I'm so late and I missed most of Mr. Brown's presentation, but I just wanted to share some of my own experiences with you with the graduate program. I hope there are no lecturers listening, but if you want to do grad studies, run far away. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work, as I'm sure Mr. Brown would have shared with you, but it is a rewarding thing. When at the end of it, you realize all that you have and what you have accomplished, it's really fulfilling. So my part of my job is to kind of walk you through what the graduate program is like, both locally and internationally as well. So basically, getting into the program is in and of itself a process that you all have to go through. So let's talk a little bit about it. So as you heard, I'm specializing in neuropsychology. So even before we even get there, I've been doing counseling for about 13 years, and it's been a while. Basically, for getting into the master's program, you first of all have to know what it is that you want to study. And I don't just mean, oh, I want to do clinical psychology or educational psychology. You have to know specifically what you want to zone in on. So is it that you want to work with children? Is it that you want to work with adults? Is it that you want to look at treating persons with brain damage or finding out how they're functioning? Because that in and of itself will guide you in terms of what program you choose. Now, when you look at that, the schools that you're going to choose, the schools themselves are looking for 4 main things. Your research history. So have you done anything in terms of research? Have you done any kind of studies related to the area that you're interested in? The second thing that they look for is experience. Have you done any work prior to applying to the school? And no matter how small it is, it could be observing children or adults being tested, or even in therapy sessions as well. Some graduate schools look for things like GREs. So do you have a good GRE score? As a matter of fact, there's some universities, that if your GRE is below a certain level, they don't even look at your application. And the other thing that they look for is good grades. All right, what are GREs? That's a very good question. I was hoping you wouldn't ask me. But GREs I think it stands for Graduate Research Exam. And again, you can, graduate record examinations, I think it is. So what it is an international exam that that you do to get into a university. Don't ask me about the scoring or the grades. That one I'd have to come back to you on. But it is the benchmark by which persons use to determine if you're good enough to get into a school. Right. So those are the main things that they look for: research, experience, GREs, and of course, good grades. Now, it is a big adjustment. If you thought undergrad was hard. No, I was one of those persons. All right, yeah, GREs are for overseas, right? And basically, most schools in the US ask for GRE scores. And I'm not very familiar with the process, to be honest with you. The university that I am at now, they're not that strict on having GREs. All right, so yeah, so these are similar to the requirements for grad school in Canada and the US. So no matter what program it is, these are the areas that they're going to be looking for. And the reason is that, and in my case, when I started at UA in the master's program, my school is California Southern University. It's of course is based in California, and overall it was difficult getting into the program here in Jamaica because I had to have a lot of experience in the field before coming in. Oh, for real? I didn't know. Thanks for that, Delano. Right. So basically, for the master's level, what you have to do is prove that you have some research history, you have some experience in the field, and that you have good grades. Because based on my experience for the clinical program, this is for the clinical, and I think it applies to the counseling program as well. The second day of class, you're actually engaging real clients. For some persons, you're on the psychiatric ward and other areas. And so it means that you're going to be dealing with real clients, real people in real situations. So all the things that you would have learned in undergrad in abnormal psychology, in I don't have psychopathology at undergrad level, but cognitive psych, physiological psych, all those things are what you're going to be seeing in real life when dealing with actual clients. So that's the exciting part of it. So you're getting to move from theoretical of just seeing things on paper to actually seeing persons with the symptoms, the DSM coming alive, and all that. Yes, my master's is in clinical psychology. I did a couple degrees before in theology, as you heard, and in counseling and all that, but it's very different from what we're seeing now at the master's level. But one of the things that you're going to have to understand is that when it comes on to actually get applying to these schools, whether locally or abroad, and this is what a lot of people don't tell you: get used to rejection letters. Get used to rejection letters. If I show you all the rejection letters I have, you'd probably laugh at me. But that's just it. There are different schools that have different requirements. There are different things that they're going to be looking for. There are different things that they want. And so they're not just going to be saying, oh, you have this degree from UWI. All right, come. No, they are looking for specific things. All right. So let me answer this question before I continue. Do clinical psychologists do similar things to counseling psychologists? Not really. Clinical psychologists, primarily, we deal with individuals who have a range of mental illnesses, and we treat persons with mental illnesses, including diagnosis and testing. And counseling psychologists primarily deal with persons who are just having normal challenges that are not related to psychosis or any kind of mental problem. In Jamaica, though, that is not something that we really focusing on. Everybody kind of does everything. All right. So going back to it, getting used to the rejection letters as a part of the process, it strengthens you, but it also shows that not everywhere is where you are meant to be. And that has been a guiding principle for me. If you don't get into a program, it is not a sign of your inability to do well at that level. It's just that that university is not meant for you. Where I am now, I am very comfortable because it matches in with my schedule. And I'm sure if I had gotten into another kind of program, it probably wouldn't have been as good as where it is, where I am now. Now, here's something that I really want you to pay attention to. Avoid diploma mills and universities that are neither APA approved or have a clear degree track. I know the question is going to come, what is a diploma mill? A diploma mill is a university that, yeah, I know, I see, I knew that question was coming. A diploma mill is a university that doesn't force you or ask you to do any kind of courses or research. All they ask you to do is one major dissertation and you get the doctorate. Most places that you're going to go, if you're going to go with a diploma mill degree, they're going to turn you away because it really makes no sense at all. So like me now, every week I have at least 4 or 5 assignments to complete. I mean, starting from day one, you have major assignments due. And this is at the doctoral level, by the way. Master's level, I don't know if it has changed now for the ClinPsych program, but I think within the first week you get your first assignment. But at the doctorate level, they don't joke. Like day one, you get a major assignment, 15-page paper or whatever the case may be. So that leads me to the other point. If you're an A student, don't get depressed and sad when you realize that you're no longer getting A's, because the focus is not getting A's anymore. It is actually knowing the content, and they mark a lot harder at the graduate level. So whether it's the master's or otherwise, they are going to be pushing you even harder because they expect you to have the knowledge that you did from undergrad level and raise it to the bar of graduate level. Now, I don't know if any of my students are in here, but they can tell you that I probably mark hard sometimes when I'm marking papers, but there are some students who, no matter what I give them, their papers are always at a high level. And if you're doing that well at the undergraduate level, it means that you're already prepared for grad level. Why we can't have a magic, what? Just magically have a great job and rich. Well, that's not how that works. Information retention is important, but it is not all that important. The thing is, they're not focused so much on how much you remember as opposed to understanding what you're reading or what you're doing your research on. And a lot of times in grad school, they tend to focus more on projects, on group assignments, on individual assignments, on presentations, on different things, because there's a shift from lecturers teaching you to more of you engaging the material and then giving them feedback. Why, Jamal, of all the time, so you to bringing out this, right? But basically, it is that you are expected to be writing at a certain level that says to the lecturer, all right, you're on the right track. Yes, there's more autonomy. You're expected to perform in such a way that persons can look at your work and see that you're not just reading and putting back the information, but you're actually, what's the term now? You're not only teaching yourself, but you're putting your own opinion and thoughts on what the information is saying. So even for me now, when I write a paper, and I mean, I have a master's and I have I have 2 masters and some other degrees. But anyway, that's beside the point. When I write a paper and I submit to my lecturer and I feel good about myself and I get back more corrections than what I actually wrote, it's very intimidating. But you just have to do what you have to do. The masters on a whole, usually anywhere you take it, is usually about 2 or so years for the masters. And being quite honest with you, I don't want anybody to do what I did. Some people call me brave, some people say that I am stupid. But what I did is that I was holding down a full-time job in Clarendon and I traveled every day while doing the undergrad program. When I was going into the master's program, I left my job, packed up my wife and my son, and moved back to Kingston and just to do the master's program. So it was that engaging and that intense. And so what got me through all of that is, funny enough, no, this is something again that people, especially who have done the master's and otherwise, won't tell you, that it will cause you to want to give up. And that is what the major motivational force is, wanting to give up or wanting to just end all of this. So there were countless times when I said, I can't do anymore. I'm frustrated. I give up. This is foolishness. I can't believe people do this. Because I find that when we all reach that level of saying, hey, I can't do anymore, you say to yourself, all right, there's something, at least for me and for my cohort, there's something that's like a switch. So when you reach that point where you're like, I can't go anymore, I can't do this, I can't do that, there's something like a switch that goes off and says, hey, I need to push forward and get this done. And that is what pushes you to go on ahead. So yes, support system, very important, but it's also going to come to play on your own motivation to push forward and say, hey, I can get this done. As a matter of fact, I give you this. There's a classmate of mine, a batchmate, who said after one class, boy, I forgot to KFC and buy, a 3-piece chicken and got to Juicy and buy a beef soup. And everybody was looking at her strange because this is a vegetarian for the past 7 years and she's talking about going to KFC. That's how stressed out she was. But that's the thing. Everybody has a breaking point in grad school. And perhaps, as I'm seeing here, some persons even from undergrad level, you have a breaking point. That is fine. It is what you do with that breaking point that becomes very important. It is that thing to say, you know what? This degree is not bigger than me. I am bigger than this degree. And so that is that switch that I'm talking about that says to you, hey, I can press ahead and move on. But guess what? Even now in the doctoral program, I'm studying a lot about the brain and what the brain does and blah, blah, blah. And I'm a little bit frustrated, but at the same time, I have to use that same thing to say, hey, it's not gonna last forever. But at the end of it, I'll be glad that I actually went through the process. So when you look further on, the other thing that motivates you is choosing a research topic that you find interesting. Don't take on a research topic that you think you can manage or it sounds okay. You have to really embrace the research topic. Because at the end of the day, your research topic, it will formulate your research, of course, yes, but it is also what will push you because that is something that you really want to look at. Oh boy, Delano stats gave you PTSD. I'm so sorry to hear that, but it, yes, as I'm seeing again, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of sacrificing, but you can't give up because there's a reason why you went into the program in the first place. There's a reason why you wanted to move further. And for some persons, you will say, well, it's just to be able to make more money. Whatever your reason is, you have to push toward that. All right. Also, be prepared to dedicate many more hours to independent learning. So outside of the classroom, outside of classes and talking to lecturers, you have to start thinking about the information in a different way. And again, Jamal and all the other students that I taught that are in here, now you're seeing the reason why I push you all so hard. Because I wanted you and I wanted everybody else, Aldith as well, that I always wanted you guys to think outside of the box because that is what is going to be required of you from here on out at the grad level and otherwise. Ensure that you know your personal limitations and shortcomings. So limitations and shortcomings, you have to be aware of what it is that you can do and what you just can't do. So if it is that you reach a point while you're studying to say, you know what, I need a break today, I need to go and buy something to eat, or I need to just chill out for the day, we need to do that. And that is what is going to be important. Because, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, we all have limitations. And the first time you note your limitations, if it don't reach already in undergrad, it will reach in grad school where you begin to see what some of your faults are or where you're falling short. Don't let that intimidate you. As I tell persons on a daily basis, your weaknesses are not true weaknesses, they're your superpowers. So if your limitation is that you can't sit still for a number of hours reading the same thing, then it means that you can get up and you can go out and you can look at different things and you can start to analyze different areas or different things. So I've heard people say to me, and again, this is almost every day. So what you see when you're analyzing me, I know you're analyzing me. We don't analyze people all the time. You know, that's why your limitation is your brain. All right. All right. So Denise, that is fine. Sometimes you want to be left alone. Snapping at your family. All right. That's probably not a good thing, but it simply means that your brain has reached a point where it says, hey, I need a break. Let's take a break. And if anybody tries to interrupt that, then that happens. And it has happened to me already, where I realized that I'm doing work, I'm pushing through. People talking to me, I start snapping at them. And I have to say to myself, all right, no man, hold on. This means that I need to take a break from it all. And it is okay to take a break. There aren't any lecturers or tutors or anybody who will tell you, keep pressing on even though. You have to take a break. And no matter how many assignments you have, assignments will always be there. As long as you get them done in time, I'm sure you can have the ability to slow down for every now and again and just breathe. And I think a lot of persons forget that in grad school, where you think you don't have any time to do anything and it is back to back to back. you have to carve time out every day to ensure that you make time for yourself. I know, yes, sometimes you feel like they don't get it, even though you know they do. Yes, especially when you try to read and you know you're trying to do so many things. Um, Even retaining information is difficult. But at the same time, you'll be surprised. You can't remember a sentence, you can't remember what the lecturer said in class, but you watch it, you go outside and something happens, or you see a situation and then something just comes in your mind and you're like, oh, but wait, that looks like that and that theory, or that looks like this theorist who said that. And you're like, where did that come from? The information is there. And so it information gathering. I tell you, there is so much for you to remember and to read that is not even funny. But at the same time, you have to be able to just read what you can. Yeah, there's a trick to remembering. Just read it, but don't just read for reading's sake. And I think a lot of people do that, where you just read something and you're like, all right, I read chapter 1, I read chapter 3, I read chapter 5. What you want to do or what you want to develop is the sense of saying, all right, how is this applicable? What does this even mean? So again, I can only draw on my own experiences. One of the courses that I did before was history and systems of psychology, for instance. And there are a whole lot of big words in it I couldn't even pronounce. But basically, what I got was, all right, if I'm reading something here, how does that apply to anything that I've seen before outside? Or have I seen a movie with this before? So you kind of make it applicable to everyday life. All right, so there's an option, reading it over and over again until you get it. Ask questions, right? All right, so sometimes the chapters will pile up, but the thing is, don't try to read a whole chapter in one go. If you realize that your brain is just not able to absorb anymore, then your brain is not going to absorb anymore. And you'll be literally counting words, your mind will be 500 miles away, and you're turning page and people see you and think that you're reading and you're up to date. But the real thing is that you may not be remembering anything. So try to break it up into parts and see what happens from there. All right, so I know I've said a lot, but are there any other questions that you have for me? Yeah, understand limits of your attention span.
Marlon, we have some guests on YouTube, and they're saying pretty much what you're talking about. They can relate to it because we're doing a lot of independent learning while we're doing online school. So it is kind of doing the whole self-monitoring and so on. But what I want to know, with grad school in this COVID pandemic, how has that, do you know how that has changed, how it is administered and so on?
I am not really sure, to be honest with you. I've been out of the system for a little while. But what I gather is that a lot of the classes are online, but you see, for grad school, it's a lot of face-to-face. So we do a lot of work with the testing tools. So testing tools, for like testing your IQ, for projective tests, checking personality, things like that. So it's going to be very difficult to do it virtually. So I'm not sure what adjustments have been made since COVID, but I know for my university, it has always been 100% online. And so all the assessments and all the training is done via video demonstrations, or we record ourselves doing the actual tests, and then we send them on to our supervisors as the case may be. But in terms of Jamaica, I'm not sure where UA is at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right. So my passion is just to help persons. All right. So in terms of working with kids, it depends on how you want to work with them, because currently I'm operating as an educational psychologist. And what I do is, well, unlike Orlando, I don't do any teaching at all. What I do primarily is psychoeducational assessment. So I check if there are any learning disabilities as well as mental illnesses that children may have. And then I go about doing that. I'm actually coming from a school where I tested quite a few children. GREs, you would have to, they says like she don't want to do any teaching at all. All right, for GREs, there are classes to do GREs. So you just have to Google it and find out when the classes are, the cost, and when you can do the GRE exams. I gather that you can do the GREs several times if you don't get a grade that you're satisfied with, and you just move from there. Right. I love teaching. I love teaching at the tertiary level. A lot of my students didn't really agree with me, but because I push them very hard. But I mean, right now I don't have to teach. My main thing is assessments and report writing. So the report writing is a challenge in and of itself. Now, for the assessments, there are different types, as you would have imagined. So they're psychoeducational, they're personality, and the ones that I love primarily are neuropsych assessments. So we test for brain damage and all the rest. All right, so we have a question from YouTube.
Okay, yes, Marlon. So Tia is writing, or she's commenting. It's a question and a comment. It goes, so basically only the strong survive in grad school, and you have to put away any hobbies you had in order to actively pursue your degree?
Give up whatever life you have. That's the end of life. There is nothing else that you can do. Everything is going to be about school. You're locked away from the rest of society. There is nothing else that you can do or eat, or you can't drink, you can't do anything. Those are comments that I hear regularly. But the truth of the matter is that's not the case. Grad school is literally what you make it. You have persons in grad school like myself who go out all the time and just all over the place doing different things. But at the end of the day, you have to know the rate at which you're able to keep up. All right. Right. So I soon come to that, Delano. So basically, you create your own timetable outside of classes. So I don't have scheduled classes. I just have assignments and readings and lecture engagement times. So basically, you make your own timetable, and then once you find a rhythm, you work with it. It's the same thing for grad school at UA. It is an intense program, but at the same time, you should be able to create your own timetable and work in such a way that you get the most out of it. All right, some of the specialties in clinical psychology, you have forensic psychology, and again, these are in clinical, forensic psychology, you have health psychology, You have my favorite, of course, neuropsychology. There are some other areas as well that I can't think of right now. All right. All right. Yes, I see that quite a lot. There's some kind of problem in childhood with most disorders. Yes, especially now, I'm seeing that very often. There are a lot of mental illnesses that do stem from childhood challenges or problems. Yeah. So it is not that I want you to feel daunted or feel overwhelmed by what I'm talking about. It is just to show you that this is the reality, that not everything is going to be as smooth as it was before, but it is what you make it. All right, what do neuropsychologists do? Yes, we focus, well, not we, my supervisor, if I hear me. All right, neuropsychologists focus on everything to do with the brain. And you would say, well, psychology is all about the brain. Not in its entirety. Neuropsychologists are more on the medical side. So they look at stroke, traumatic brain injury, epilepsy, dementia, all what we call neuro disorders. And our job is to diagnose where the person is at or where they're functioning through assessments, and then provide recommendations for treatment. So that's basically what a neuropsychologist does. We check for brain functioning. So if somebody comes with a stroke and we know that it is a specific part of the brain, or what kind of stroke the person had, or what kind of brain injury, we can, through testing, tell you what specific part of that part of the brain has been affected based on how the person is answering questions and how they're functioning. Can somebody do a master's in both clinical and applied? I have not seen that before, unless you have that amount of money, where you can do the clinical and then leave and then come back and do the applied. But they're two very different fields at UWI. I don't want to confuse it, but clinical psychology does fall under applied psychology, but at UWI they have separated them. So what persons usually do now is they want to do either clinical psych or applied, because applied is more, from what I have seen, and I'm no authority on it, but applied persons deal more with organizations and companies. We deal with individuals with mental illnesses. Yeah. All right. IO psychology, I think that falls more on the applied psychology, because clinical is definitely, as the name suggests, clinical. We're dealing with persons with mental illnesses of varying kinds. I don't see the question here, but I know some persons may ask me, what kind of mental illnesses do I see on a daily basis? A wide range. I see persons with some of the quote unquote typical depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder. Well, I have a couple persons with borderline personality disorder. I even have somebody in session who has severe social phobia, so she doesn't even interact with people unless she has to, and even then, she finds it daunting to even talk to anybody. So if I'm going to see her, I have to see her at home. It is that bad. When I go there, I have to give her at least 2 hours notice that I'm on my way to her so she can mentally prepare to see me. Clinical and counseling, they're two different things again, two different programs, two different pathways. So most times, that's why at the beginning I said you have to really focus on what you want to study. And you'll find that when you know what you want to study, it kind of guides you into the direction that you want to go. Yes, clinical focuses on pathologies, applied more on how psychological phenomenon. All right, this sounds like an applied student. All right. Sounds like for every lecture. All right. So in essence, you have to be very comfortable with what you're doing. I like hearing and dealing with persons with varying mental illnesses. One interesting one I dealt with was somebody who had a pretty rare disorder. Bear with me, it's a pretty long name. The disorder, or is really a phobia. Person has what we call hippopotamonstrous phobia, which is a fear of long words. So you see a variety of challenges that people come with, and you're like, do these things really exist? There are some psychologists who even tell you they have never seen and don't believe that dissociative personality disorder even exists. Um, so, all right, so people coming with multiple personalities, some psychologists see it, some persons don't. Um, all right, so Desha is still in between, but you sound like you're on your way to knowing what you want to do. Is it in the DSM-5? No, but sometimes the disorders or the challenges that I see don't always present in the DSM-5. Yeah, dissociative identity disorder. I have done that as well. Right. So I mean, there are a number of disorders that you come to know, and this is kind of what separates you when you get into grad school. You're not only hearing and reading about it, but you're actually seeing clients come in with this. And I will tell you that at times I had to pull back from getting so excited to actually seeing some of the presentations in front of you. Oh, this person has this, and you're like, whoa, I've never seen it. I only read about it, and then you start questioning the person, and you realize that, hey, no, this person is here for help, and you can't just get excited about it. I know that sounds wrong, but there does, it really comes to life for you. Yes, I work in Jamaica. I work between Mandeville and Kingston. Yes, please do not go and laugh with your clients. Also, do not pay attention to what you see on TV. TV will lead you astray. You don't have a person lying down on a couch or sitting there, telling you all the problems. Sometimes they come there and they just sit there and they don't want to talk, or you're seeing a presentation of something, and you have to be able to adjust yourself to dealing with them. All right, so you have the basic knowledge of the DSM-5, but then you also have to be aware of what persons go through. So be very honest and open with your clients. So yes, all of my clients are in Jamaica. Sometimes there are persons who are Jamaicans who live abroad, and I do see them from time to time. So whether it's Japan or New York or Florida or Europe or wherever they are, they find me. Yes, this is something Denise is raising a valid point. You can be over empathetic and sympathetic, because when you start hearing persons talk about their problems and then they start crying and then you start crying and you don't know what to do, it doesn't help anybody. So you have to maintain that level of composure. And if they say something that sounds funny, you hold it in, because that is the client's reality. Have I ever laughed in front of a client? No. there have been several times where a tear has come to my eye because I want to burst out laughing, but no. You don't have a heart of stone. But what happens is that for me, especially, I get so ingrained into the person's story. I integrate myself into their life, understand where they're coming from, and then from there, I walk with them through the situation. Yeah, all right. So this person, D, you have to be very careful. You can't be too emotional, but you can't be too psychologically rigid. Because when you're psychologically rigid, you lose your clients. When you're too empathetic and you're all a bundle of emotions, you lose them as well. So treat it like a conversation. Treat it like how we're talking now. You're dealing with human beings. And if you, the minute you treat a person, the minute you find out, oh, they have this mental illness or that disorder, and you treat them like a diagnosis, that is where the problem for me lies. You cannot treat people like diagnoses. People are people, and people go through different challenges, but they just deal with the different challenges in varying ways. So we have to appreciate each struggle and say, all right, this is what you're dealing with, and help me to work it through. Now, I have a very comical relationship with a lot of my patients and a lot of my clients. So I will run jokes. I will engage them in different ways because I have that level of comfort with them and they with me. But at the same time, you have to maintain that level of professionalism where you say, all right, I understand that, but at the same time, let us remember to keep this professional. Because there are a lot of persons who will cross that line and try to be over engaging or otherwise. All right, do I have a, yeah, so it's important to have a soft spot for children. All right, Denise, take care. You have to have a soft spot for children and for adults as well. People leave out adults, adults need love too. So sometimes when we think about it, you have to empathize with children, but at the same time remember that you're dealing with children. There has to be a balance. There has to be that level where you're not going to just run and hug them up. No. If you follow me, sometimes I can be very standoffish at times because I have to protect my own energy. Because if you get too engaged with clients, they will draw from you. Either way you take it, they're going to draw from you. But you have to remember to be in charge of the session, but allow the client to lead in some way. Yeah, this is what I want. I don't want persons, and again, I keep referring to my students, but my students always know that they can talk to me, they can ask me questions, I will answer as much as I can. But at the same time, remember that we maintain that level of professionalism. And so it goes on into regular, everyday clients as well. Adults, I find adults interesting because, yes, they're set in their own ways. But sometimes when you put certain scenarios to them, or you ask them, or you challenge them, they start to pull back and they start thinking differently about what they just said to you. So adults are very, very interesting. Children will be very blunt with you. So you have to be able to deal with the bluntness that comes with it. Believe you me. All right. I think that is it from me. I hand over to Aldith.
Wow, my mind is still trying to absorb everything you've just said, Mr. Simpson, but I thank you so much. You have been so authentic in sharing, and I think you definitely busted a whole lot of myths today. So all the little fairy tale dreams and the walk in the park ideas that we had about grad school. I'm sure we are now planted firmly on the ground, and we're deciding if we're going to run towards or run away from, but I'm sure we'll make the right decision. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing with us. And I don't know if you want to be bombarded with further questions, Mr. Simpson, if there's a way persons could make contact with you, or if it is you'd want us to compile any further queries and then send it to you. If persons send it to us, what would you prefer?
People can message me directly. I'm all over the place. You can give them my contact information. Or I don't know if you'd want me. Well, I'm on Instagram as well.
Or can you type your contact in the chat? Are you able to do that?
Yeah. All right, I'm doing that now.
Okay, so guys, I really appreciate you turning out. We have a whole host of other guests to come on for the rest of February into March, because we know that, you know, making the decision to go to grad school is very critical, and we want to provide you with as much relevant information and accurate information as possible. So, you know, we invite you to join us next week. I think we have counseling coming up next week. So we just invite you to stay tuned and to join us next week and the following weeks, because of course, PSA just have the thing locked, and we are going to give you accurate information, relevant information, and we're also here to support you as you advance in your pursuit of becoming the best psychologist ever. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you again, Mr. Simpson, for joining us.
All right, no problem.
Marisha, I'm going to ask you if you can post in the group chat as well this information from Mr. Simpson, so persons can also make contact with him.
Sure.
The IG is there as well. Sorry, I'll do.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
No, I interrupted you while you were speaking, so I'm just saying sorry. I'm asking sorry for his IG.
Oh, his IG. Okay.
All right.
His IG.
Yeah,
Instagram.
Instagram.
I know what it is. I don't think I caught it though.
But guys, we will put out something with his email, with Mr. Simpson's email address, his telephone number, and the IG, so you can just pick up on that. We'll put that in. We'll post that in the group. All right.
All right, no problem.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, for coming, and see you next week.
All right, bye, guys.
Adieu.
Yeah, man, go and big up on yourself. Is it me next week?